we rank number one or number two, top positions on Google for everything that we sell. We don't have an active influencer program. I know that sounds old-fashioned. I was shocked by what I saw in terms of fashion. So we made the fateful decision of being international from the get-go, which was quite bold because we launched when Brexit was happening. So there's a strong tailwind in the form of veganism, which isn't a trend. It isn't a fad. It's a trend that's just going to continue to grow.
Hello and welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. Every week we interview some of the best e-commerce founders and dive deep into their key growth drivers, uncovering actionable insights that you can implement in your business. But before we jump into today's conversation, a quick thank you to our friends at Saral. Most brands get influencer marketing wrong. They think paying a creator for a single post will spark a sales spike. That simply doesn't work. Successful brands like Graza, Obvi and Hexclad are forging genuine partnerships. And that's where Saral comes in. It's your go-to platform for partnering with the right influencers, tracking results, and managing everything in one place. Book a demo at getsaral.com/demo, mention us, and get an extended free trial exclusive for our listeners. Hey Simon, welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Kushal. Yeah, all good.
Before we jump into the podcast, could you tell our audience a little bit about the business? What do you guys do?
Okay, so I'm the co-founder of Immaculate Vegan, immaculatevegan.com. We're an online marketplace for vegan fashion. So we sell products that don't involve animals. We don't do food, we're just a fashion business, and it's premium fashion that we're doing as well. So we sell brands from around the world to customers around the world in footwear, clothing, bags, accessories, but we also have kids, we have some homeware, and we've got a pet range too.
So you have a pretty interesting story on how the business started. I want to dive a little deeper into that. So could you tell everyone, how did Immaculate Vegan come about?
Well, I, before this business, owned and ran an agency designing and building e-commerce websites, sort of premium bespoke websites. And most of my customers were fashion brands, luxury, lifestyle brands. And into my office one day walked my now co-founder, Anik, who said, I'd like a website, please. And I said, okay, tell me all about it. And she said, I'm vegan. I said, that's funny, so am I. I've just gone vegan for whatever reason. And she said, look, I didn't have any problem with food when I turned vegan, but I was shocked by what I saw in terms of fashion. It was all plastic or open-toed sandals or hemp and just not very stylish. So slightly panicked, she started to scour the internet looking for products that she liked the look of, and she created, by way of a project, an Instagram blog which she called Immaculate Vegan, and every few days she'd post 3 color-coordinated products from different categories and just built it up from there. It was a very elegant-looking account, but it was really just a project for herself. But she got quite a few followers, and a lot of the followers would write to her and say, this is great, if only there was somewhere where we could buy all this stuff. And a lot of the brands that she was featuring went, this is great, if only there was somewhere that showed off our products as beautifully as you do. So she thought, there could be something in this. So she came to see me and said, I'd like a website, please. And I said, because I'd been looking for a project of my own, I said, I think that's a really good idea. Don't pay me to build it. Let's do it together. So she came with the knowledge, the know-how, the brand, and I built the website in effect. So we, formed a business. And for the first couple of years, it was just a side hustle for both of us. We had our own jobs to do. But, babies might be small, but they're very demanding. So we realized that we needed to spend more and more time on this project. And Anik basically quit her job and went full time on Immaculate Vegan. And then a short while afterwards, I did the same. So I sold my business, and we're now 100% working on and invested in Immaculate Vegan. So that's the backstory.
So I want to go into a little more detail about the backstory, because I find businesses that build an audience first, and because it then stems out of a genuine problem, right? Because you've already got this audience who's crying out for some problem, and then you've gone and built this. So I want to get into a little more detail just to understand, what did you do to validate the idea? Did you guys validate it? Did you guys just jump in with the website? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, We had the validation that came from a good following on Instagram, in effect. We had the validation from the brands. So I think that was enough to get us going. The first thing we did was we spun up a WordPress blog site, in effect, whilst we started to construct the transactional website. But actually we did that partly to start to build a presence on Google, which actually proved to be very useful for us because we rank number 1 or number 2, top positions on Google for everything that we sell. So that was a good first step. And we very quickly then launched the transactional website. But we decided to do it quickly rather than spend years working on a perfect, fully functional, site. We got spun up quickly on Shopify, which we could do quickly. And we've kind of learnt and iterated thereafter, which I think was the right thing to do because it's important to be first to market. And the nature of these things is such that you do learn as you go along. So yeah, I don't think we needed much more validation than what we already had. But obviously the best validation is in market. And after a quiet and slow start, it's kind of grown and grown ever since.
So what was customers acquisition like in the early days? Was it just the Instagram handle that you guys had built up and Google, or were you doing something else as well?
Well, we definitely had the Instagram followers. That was the first thing. We started to build an email database through our initial blog website and then our main website. But I think the most important thing, and still now our biggest source of traffic, is natural organic search. So we rank highly on Google for all the things that we sell. So we very carefully and studiously, and we continue to do this all the time, optimize our website to make sure that we're found for what we sell.
And once you had product market fit, you realized that this is something that's working, and you said your co-founder also quit her job. How did the strategy evolve? How did you go about growing it and scaling it from there? Because you did mention that you guys also raise funds. Could you talk a little bit about the journey from, okay, you've launched this website, people have started to buy, to scaling it to a point where you got some investors interested in the business?
Well, initially it was bootstrap. We both put a certain amount of money in, and we used that to get going. But that doesn't last forever, and unless you're prepared to bet the house on it, you do need to go to investors. So we've now had 4 rounds of investment. We may need one last one before we can stop that endeavor. But yeah, we bootstrapped it initially, and then we've had a series of rounds, and we've got various investors. We've got a fund, we've got family firms, we've got high net worth individuals, and we've also done 2 crowdfund rounds as well, which is interesting. Yeah, so it was started with our own money, and then it's people that believe in what we do.
And could you talk a little bit about how the strategy evolved, once you got investors on board? Because I'm guessing their outlook towards the business obviously became very different.
Actually, our investors have been very hands-off, right? We've never had any direction from investors. They've been very pleased with what we've done because we've basically delivered against our targets. We consistently deliver against our targets. So actually that whole side of things has been very pain-free. So long as we continue to do what we promise, I think they're happy. No, we learnt in markets. So for example, when we first started, we thought beauty would be a big category for us. So we had lots of beauty brands and cosmetic brands, and actually it didn't really take off for us. So I guess we pivoted in effect. We found very quickly that actually our biggest category was footwear. I guess unsurprisingly, in that leather is the kind of dominant material in footwear, and obviously the leather is not vegan. So there was a very strong demand for a place where you could find a wide range of stylish footwear. But we've done well in bags as well. That's our second biggest category. And once we built kind of critical mass in those categories, then we started to branch out into others. So we're building our clothing category, but we've also dipped our toe in the water in a number of other areas. So we just learn as we go along. We try to build critical mass. We try to add fewer, bigger brands, and we've extended geographically as well, which has been interesting. So we made the fateful decision of being international from the get-go, which was quite bold because we launched when Brexit was happening, so there was quite a lot of learning, shall we say, in terms of how to deal with duties and all that kind of stuff, which was hard to get our heads around in the first instance. But I'm glad we did it because we now sell to all EU countries and we sell brands from those countries all around the world, and that makes our footprint far bigger and also makes the selection of brands that we offer far, far bigger. So yeah, so we made a few bold decisions from the outset, and that was one of them, going global.
You mentioned something very interesting that, you focus on a particular category. Once it hits critical mass, you then, expand into other categories. Could you talk a little bit more about that? How do you know that, you've hit critical mass? How do you make these decisions?
Well, I mean, we're always looking to build those categories as well. I mean, it's not that we are maxed out, but obviously if your proposition is the widest range of stylish vegan footwear, you need to have a wide range of stylish footwear. So, and brands come and they go too. So we always need to replenish. We need to introduce new brands. So it's not a finished. It's never finished. We're always looking to replenish and build. But I think we've got a really good footprint, if you excuse the pun, in footwear. Clothing, we're doing well, but we can do more. We've got a men's range, for example, but we can certainly build on men's. Kids is tiny. We can certainly build that out, and so on. So yeah, it's we've got there is no limit really to the number of brands that we can onboard, because we don't have the physical constraints of a physical store.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what I want to now understand from you is, when you're obviously expanding to different geographies, what is your main channel of customer acquisition? How are you finding new customers in new countries?
Well, let me give you an example. We're just about to spin up India for the first time. Why? Because we get a lot of traffic from India, but we don't currently sell to India. So we're testing that market because it's obviously very large, and the vegan proposition resonates with the Indian customer. I guess our only hesitancy is the cost of shipping, which of course is the Achilles heel of e-commerce, because it costs a lot of money to ship a product to India or from India. So that's the only thing. And the other issue is returns, because if a product doesn't fit or you don't like it, you have to return it, and that can be costly as well. So there are some cost limitations as far as geography is concerned. But yeah, in the case of India, it's just that we get a lot of eyeballs. We get those through the SEO that I talked about. We're not actively marketing to India, but it would be prudent to at least test the water and see whether that's a market that could be fruitful for us. And it may well be. But yeah, I mean, we use a mixture of the usual marketing levers: SEO, PPC, paid media through Google and Meta and Instagram, obviously part of Meta. But yeah, we're very prudent about our marketing spend. We're both marketeers by background, me and Anik, my partner, and we're always trying to drive down the cost of acquisition. So year on year, we want that to get smaller and smaller, because obviously that's far more efficient. So we don't spend money where we're not confident of the return, and we spend money where we get the best return. So we're adjusting constantly between media, just to make sure that we continue to drive that number down.
What would you say, what percentage of the customers that you're acquiring, what's the split like between paid and organic? Because obviously you've got the SEO engine that's running, you've got an Instagram handle that's that started all of this.
Yeah, look, I haven't got the precise numbers to hand, but our biggest traffic source is natural organic search, which is kind of understandable. Most people kind of go to Google and go, I want a pair of vegan sneakers. Otherwise, it would be probably paid PPC, and then it would be between Google and Meta. But I don't have the precise numbers, but it will vary by season and by month. We also got a big and growing email database. So that's another high converting source of traffic that we use actively. So we do plenty of emails, targeted emails, follow up emails. That's proven. That's a good medium for us.
And what advice would you give any early stage business that's looking to scale up? What should they be focusing on to get the numbers going initially?
I mean, don't wait until it's perfect. Get out there and learn. You can do that very cost effectively online, because you're not spending vast amounts of money, and you will learn regardless. It's better to be first to market than, late to market, however better you may or may not be. So I think that's the first thing. Just, if you feel you've got a good idea, get out, learn, iterate, and pivot to the areas, whether it's a category or a geography, where you get most traction. Try things, see whether it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, move on. But I think that's really, really important. We're a very lean team as well. We're very, very cost conscious. the money that we've been given, we're not spending it in one fell swoop in the hope that we'll, supercharge our growth. I think the investment market is such that I think we need to be more prudent. So we have taken a very efficient, low-cost model, deliver against our targets, please our investors, steady as she goes. And it's proven to be successful. And I think that's also a competitive advantage, because if your competitors are spending money in the hope that they're going to get something bigger, that can be the cause of that you can go bust quickly that way. So we're very lean and efficient. We only spend money where we think we're going to get a return. We don't spend money on things we don't need. So that would be another, I guess, lesson or piece of advice.
And looking back at your journey, is there anything you feel you would change, or if you're to restart, is there something you would do different?
Well, I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Obviously, if were we to launch tomorrow, we would be doing precisely what we're doing now. But you only get there by putting your toe in the water. I mean, there's a few things that we've done, some money that we spent that probably didn't give us a return. But you don't know that until you try it. So we spent money on PR, for example, in the first instance, thinking that would generate decent traffic for it. It just didn't. We don't have an active influencer program. I know that sounds old-fashioned, but actually we found that the money you can spend money very, very easily, and unless you've got a lot to spend, it's very hard for that particular medium to really generate the kind of traffic you want. No, I think that's it. I think, there's not an awful lot that we would do differently, but maybe my partner would say something else. I don't know. And
my last question to you would be, so what are some of the future plans now? What are you looking to do, say, in the next 2 to 3 years to take your business to the next level?
Okay, we're going to continue to build out our US offer. The US is our biggest market. That actually becomes increasingly necessary with Trump's tariffs, so that's a sensible tactic. We'll continue to build out those categories that we've got plenty of capacity for. We'll try new markets like India and see whether that works. But we'll continue to do what we're doing, which is slow, steady, efficient growth, and make sure that we're the last man standing, because there have been others, not close competitors, but other marketplaces kind of adjacent to us, I guess. But I think some of them have found it harder going than perhaps we have. I think if you're lean and you're mean, you're likely to last the distance. But we will just continue to invest the money we make into growing the business. We are doing well, but actually there's plenty more to go after. And I'm not talking about brands, I'm talking about customers. There are many, many, many more customers that we could attract. There's a strong tailwind in the form of veganism, which isn't a trend. It isn't a fad. It's a trend that's just going to continue to grow. So we've got a good business, we've got a great offer, customers like us, we're rated very highly on Trustpilot, and we take customer service very seriously, so that all helps. But we've got these tailwinds that will continue to drive us forward. So I think we're set fair for the future.
Awesome, Simon. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.